So this video is going to introduce you to some of the terminology to do with paired data. Paired data means when you have two variables that have a relationship with each other. Okay, like height and weight, or cost and quality, or whatever. Correlation is how strong of a relationship is there. Okay, and we often use the R value, and a high correlation has an R value close to -1 or +1. So correlation is to do with the strength of the relationship, and it's measured by the R value. Regression is basically the trend line or equation that can be used to predict other values. Okay. For example, if you have values from 1 to 10 of x and their y values, you could use it to find what might be the result if x was 11. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so here's a few more terms. A scatter diagram is a diagram where you plot points of paired data. For example, when x is 2 and y is 1, this point shows that piece of data. Okay, so a diagram, a graph showing data points. Okay, it shows the paired data points. An outlier is a point that doesn't follow the trend. For example, this red one here. The trend seems to be low on the left and high on the right, but this one's high on the right. So an outlier does not follow the trend. Now, a line of best fit is basically the same as a regression line. It's a line that goes through the data to show the trend. Okay? Now, there's three different ways of finding the line of best fit, but they all have at least one thing in common. They all go through the mean. Now, what that means is they go through the point that is both means. That is the mean of x and the mean of y plotted. So if you get your calculator and plot x bar, y bar, the line of best fit has to go through that. Okay, the correlation coefficient, I talked about that a minute ago, that's the R value. Okay, and it measures strength of relationship. This relationship is quite strong here. I'd say the R value is 0.8 or 0.9. Okay, so levels of correlation. Okay, a high correlation is when there's a very strong trend and you could draw a line almost exactly through all points. Okay, and that is when R is close to 1 or -1. -1 would indicate a strong relationship but in a negative direction. Moderate is when you have a clear trend, but not everything is on the line. Like that, say. A low or weak correlation is you can vaguely see a trend, but only just. Maybe something like that. A positive correlation goes uphill from left to right. As x increases, so does y. A negative correlation goes downhill. I should mention a bit about the R values. So a high correlation is when R is close to 1 or -1. Moderate is above 0.5 or below -0.5. Low or weak is below 0.5, i.e. in between -0.5 and +0.5. And that's not a very strong relationship. Positive, R will be bigger than 0. Negative, R is less than 0. By the way, if you have a graph with points all over it, just totally random, no pattern at all, that would signify that R is close to 0 and there's absolutely no correlation. Okay, that's it for this video, but more to follow.